is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Spider-Man 2 gameplay for you. And today I'm going to be going over an article that really rubbed me the wrong way. Because it just, these game journalists, man, and one thing I can say about them, they were definitely consistent. But what is it they're talking about here? And by the way, before I get into this article, I just want to say, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't beaten the game of Spider-Man 2, please beat it before you get into that. You have been warned. But let's get into it. So basically, this article talks about how Miles and Peter, who's the better Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. And they basically say, well, it's definite without a shadow of a doubt that the better Spider-Man by the end of the game is definitely Miles Morales. He is superior to Peter Parker, no questions asked. And I was kind of thinking, okay, and how is this exactly? I'll entertain the idea of it. But pretty much it goes the following. So one of the reasons why Miles is better is that he's able to defeat a symbiote, Peter Parker, during the boss fight of this game. And it proves that, hey, he's a better Spider-Man because, so many villains have been trying to beat Peter Parker as Spider-Man. They couldn't. But Miles did it just like that. So he's definitely superior. First of all, you're going to hear me say this a lot. You're right, but you're not complete. Yes, Miles Morales did defeat a venom-infused Peter Parker as Spider-Man. However, are you implying that if the roles were not reversed, then Miles had the symbiote on him and Peter had to fight him, that he wouldn't be able to defeat him? I know you think, having the symbiote makes you powerful, and yes, it does give you powers, but you forget one very obvious thing. The symbiotes, while they are powerful, they do have a pretty definite weakness that ironically you exploit in that boss fight. Not to mention, I feel like it'd be easier for either Spider-Man to beat the other if they did have a symbiote, barring that they did know the weakness. But the point is that that weakness really nullifies the symbiote's effectiveness a lot. I mean, obviously Miles would have a harder time defeating Peter Parker if he was just, Spider-Man without the venom and suit, because he couldn't use that weakness. Not to mention, Peter's greatest strength is not his, physical abilities. It is his mind, how he thinks and processes and overcomes stuff. I mean, how many times has he gone up against people that are way more, stronger than him, and he finds out ways to get around and beat them? That's, his number one greatest thing, that brain, the ingenuity of it, and thinking of plans and strategies and creating new stuff or tech or whatnot. That's what Peter does best. So the whole thing that, because Miles defeated him as symbiote based, which he did, no question about it. And it's not a knock against Miles, and Miles is definitely great, don't get me wrong, and I love how his abilities, while they have similarities, there are also a difference between him and Peter. I just think it's really ingenuine to be like, hey, he's a better Spider-Man because he did this. Because let's just say the roles were reversed. You don't think Peter could do the same thing? I mean, come on now. Not to mention, whoever we're playing as the character when we do a boss fight, we're obviously going to win no matter what it is. Now, unless, cutscene dictates otherwise. But the next part that they try to say is that, well, in the game, Miles gets more powerful because he gets more powers and abilities. And once again, you hear me say this a lot, you're right, but you're not complete. Yes, Miles does get a lot of abilities and powers in this game. But, if you're thinking, yeah, what about Peter? Does he? And yeah, Peter does too, but apparently that's not mentioned at all in this article. He gets his powers, with the symbiote suit, but he also gets his anti-venom powers as well. And apparently that gets completely ignored. And I'm just like thinking, you keep making a case, Miles getting more powerful, but Peter's just standing stagnant. It's like, no, that's not how it is. Both of them get their share of upgrades and abilities. So this whole take of how one is getting more powerful and the other is not even mentioned at all is really weird. Just seems like it's just all pro Miles and anti Peter, and I hate that because I hate how you have to prop up somebody at the cost of downing somebody. But moving on to this last point, and this one really rubbed me the wrong way because it's so ingenuine towards Peter, is that the article claims that Miles is better because he's been able to progress at a faster rate, because he's been doing this, maybe a year, a little over a year, and because of that, it means that Peter Parker is not as good because it's taking him so much longer to get to where he's at. You're not wrong. but you're not complete. Yes, Miles has progressed a lot faster. There's a really good reason why. It's because Miles has a lot more help and people helping him to get to where he needs to go than Peter ever did when he became Spider-Man. Because Miles, when he became Spider-Man, or when he got bit by the spider, he had the help and mentoring of Peter Parker himself, as well as a lot of his family knowing pretty early on in his career. I mean, basically everybody that's close to Miles knows he's, Spider-Man. They know, so they can help him out and give him advice. Peter basically mentors and trained him, so he has a lot of advantages. Not to mention he can, piggyback off of some tech ideas with Peter, help him out, get him started, get advice on passive fights, and also have some information on villains that Peter Parker's already combated. So he's got a lot of that. But you know who didn't have all that help? Peter Parker himself, because Peter Parker was the pioneer for all this stuff. You wouldn't have a Miles if it wasn't for Peter all those years before basically going in. I mean, as a high school kid, basically, creating his web shooters from basically nothing and having nobody there. Like, nobody knew at the beginning. Obviously, we don't see it in these games, but we can allude to it that he didn't have people mentoring him on how to be Spider-Man. He came up with that concept himself. He created his own suit, his own web shooters. He basically had to learn everything the hard way. And I like the whole collectibles in the first game where he would like collect something and be like, yeah, this was when I first fought this villain and I nearly died because I had to make an upgrade to my suit or tech to survive or something like that. And not to mention, as I said, he's all alone, not just in being Spider-Man, not being able to tell anybody, but also in case like something happened, a disaster or something personal, he had to endure that alone. So he was a pioneer trying to learn all this stuff without having someone to mentor him, train him. And as they've been doing it for what? We don't have an exact time frame in these games, but around a decade. There's no question that Miles will get to that point one day, but let's stop acting like, oh, you do good for a little while, and oh my god, it makes everything the other guy had been doing for, around a decade non-existent. As I said, I just hate these takes where you have to prop up somebody at the expense of bringing someone down, because it's real stupid. This article is just, as I said, if you want to check it out, the link is in the description below, but it's just so much non-information. As I said, I like Peter, I like Miles in this game. Their friendship is really great. I like their progression, and I think they're excellent. I can respect either one to hold down the city if the other had like a problem or they wanted to take some time off. But this is just not the way to do it, to just blatantly lie, because I hate how it's dogging on Peter, but it also puts a target on Miles, because now you're going to get people thinking, oh, well, they just want to push Miles at the expense of Peter, and I hate that. I like both Peter and Miles. Why can't we have both of them without having to crap on one? But that is my opinion. Let me know your opinion. Are you one of these people that think, oh, there's a definite better Spider-Man, or are you just happy to have two really great characters who are similar but also different in this game? But let me know in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.